let's talk about Tekken 7, shall we? Me here at bottom left, Ilan, has all of the information for the future of Tekken 7. While they did not talk much about Tekken 7, and we'll get to why that is in just a little bit, there was a lot of information that, while not specifically said, was shared, right? They, like we said, at the right before the top 8, they had the big announcements. They announced the Tekken World Tour 2023, which is still going to be in Tekken 7. Somewhere in the big presentation for Tekken 8, for those of you that weren't there, instead of having a regular 2 to 3 minute trailer, they had a Capcom style 35-minute presentation, 40-minute presentation on all of the mechanics for Tekken 8, which we'll get to in just a second. However, something that was very interesting that felt very glossed over, and I don't know if a lot of people noticed this, is that Tekken 7 is still in development. So we're probably going to get another big season out of Tekken 7. Are we going to get DLC characters? Are we going to get a big patch with some big changes? Most likely. And quite possibly the most surprising thing that they announced is that Arika, the people who made Fighting EX Slayer, are now contracted by Bandai Namco to work on Tekken. What does that mean? Well, they wouldn't tell us on the actual show. However, Arika came out with a statement later to specifically go over what they're going to be in charge of. And here's what it is. Let's go ahead and zoom in here so we can really get into this here. Let's zoom in. Zoom. Okay, so notice regarding contracted development and work for the Tekken series. We're going to skip over all this stupid mumbo jumbo at the top, right? Because that's all legal stuff. Ultra David can help translate that later. Now, details of the contracted work. Update of Tekken 7. Both parties will collaborate on the development of an update of Tekken 7, game developed by Bandai Namco. Note, any update of the software, including improvements, bug fixes, and usability improvements for online matches, will be handled by Arika. Note, game balance items are handled by Bandai Namco. Now, what in the world does that mean? You might be asking. There we go. What in the world does that mean? You might be asking. First of all, it's no big news, right? That another company has been contracted to work on a video game, right? Like for example, Street Fighter V was worked on a company called Dimps, right? Marvel vs. Capcom 3 and Ultimate Marvel vs. Capcom 3 was worked on by a company called Aiding, who also made DNF Duel. So this is nothing new. However, what we can glean from it is this. Improvements for online matches will be handled by Arika. Why is that a big deal, you might be asking? Well, I don't know if you guys know this or not, but Fighting EX Slayer, first of all, an amazing game. And we're one step closer to having Skullomania in Tekken 7. I've always wanted it. He's coming. Fighting EX Slayer also had a big shift to rollback netcode. And they had a big beta for it on Steam. And is currently running on rollback netcode on Steam. And the netcode is damn good. So, my thought, what I'm gleaning from this is, since Fighting EX Slayer tends to be closer to how Tekken is compared to other games, they decided to have Arika come in and work on Lord Netcode to hopefully make the online Tekken experience a little bit better than before. With that also said, one of the big announcements as well was that the 2023 Tekken World Tour is going to be completely offline, no more online. So I think Tekken is the only game where they can announce something like that and it be taken well, right? Because the netcode is not very good. The online experience for Tekken is not great. So that kind of announcement, I think, is only good for Tekken. But we've yet to see what Arika is going to do. I'm sure there's going to be lots of things that we can see down the line, but what they are, we don't know yet. However, let's get back to the rest of this announcement, shall we? As soon as I figure out how to move, there we go. Contracting for services related to Tekken 8. We will provide advice on our developed online battle algorithms and game response, as well as undertake production work to improve the user experience. By contracting the above services, we will strive to deliver even better games to gamers worldwide. So, again, this to me reads that Arika is going in and working on the netcode and some of the user experience for Tekken 8 as well as Tekken 7, which, hey, I'm all for, right? Better things equals better games. You know what I'm talking about. But yeah, so this is giving me good vibes about the future of Tekken 7. You know what I mean? We still have 1 year with it. We'll see what happens. Now, speaking of Arika working on Tekken 8, let's get to Tekken 8. Let's get to Tekken 8. They announced in that 35-minute presentation a lot of the gameplay mechanics and how they are going to work, which has left Tekken players very divided. Akuma has won the Tekken World Tour for 2 years in a row now, and to top off the end of the 2022 season with an Akuma victory by Atif Butt, who played extraordinarily well. Well, extraordinarily well for us. I'm sure that's normal Pakistan level gameplay. Tekken 8 now has a V-trigger, which is a little bit weird, right? They announced the heat mode and how it's going to work for Tekken. They announced that each character is going to have about 5 moves that will let you get into heat mode, as well as just a raw activation. Think of it kind of like a max mode, right? And while in heat mode, each character is going to get a different buff to stuff, right? As well as like unlocking certain moves here and there. It's literally a V-trigger. It's just a V-trigger. You activate it. King, for example, has armor in some of his grabs they showed. Law takes out his nunchuck and gets some added properties with hits from his nunchuck attacks. Who else did they show? Paul has can chip people with his big moves while in heat mode. It's very, very bizarre. The other thing they announced is there will be recoverable life gauge. So they're adding gray health to Tekken. So when you take Power Crush damage or when you take Rage Art damage, it all goes into gray life instead of taking your health away. And the gray life acts almost like Killer Instinct in the sense that the gray life is always there. It doesn't go away. And the way to get rid of the gray life is to cash it out either by hitting your opponent with a specific move or hitting them with lows, which chips it a little bit away every time. So that's going to be interesting to see how that works. The other thing too is it's recoverable, and they're almost on like some Bloodborne type shit where you can recover your gray health by attacking. Right? If you hit your opponent, you get your health back. If you cause your opponent to block, you get your health back. Otherwise, it just acts as gray health. So it's very, very interesting. They also announced they're homogenizing the activation for Rage Art. Everybody is going to get the same input, which is down forward 1+2. That's how everybody does Rage Arts, which is a little bit interesting. They announced new control input versions, right? Which I found very interesting because they approached a fighting game like an action game. Like think of something like the most recent example I can think of is Hi-Fi Rush, right? If you guys haven't been playing Hi-Fi Rush is a very, very fun action adventure game made by the same people who made Evil Within, which is very bizarre. Or like think of like Devil May Cry, right? Where the big gameplay mechanic is you have one light attack button and one hard attack button, or like one heavy attack button. And every combination of those two buttons is a different combo, right? Like, so for example, you can hit light, light, heavy, or heavy, light, light, or, you know, light, heavy, light, blah, 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 blah. That's how one of the control schemes is going to work for Tekken. which I find very interesting because I think that's going to help bridge the gap for a lot of people. Instead of having to memorize 1,030 strings, you can memorize 4. And that's something that they also mentioned with the heat system is the moves that can get you into heat mode, they call the heat engagers. I don't know if that sounds weird. Maybe it's a translation thing. I hope they come up with a better name for it. Like each character has about 5 of those, and you can learn how to play a character just by memorizing those 5 moves. And that helps guide you through what the game plan is, right? It's weird. It's weird. It's a very different Tekken than the Tekken we're used to. Having that V-trigger stuff on there is going to be very interesting. I think it's one of those things where we won't know how it is and if it's good or not until we get our hands on it, which is something they announced on location. They're having location tests for Tekken 8. So if you go to the big one, the big first one is at EVO Japan. So if you sign up for Tekken 7 at EVO Japan, you can apply to play the location test build of Tekken 8. So you can go see how the heat mode works and have some fun and give the developers some feedback on your experience. So not necessarily like the beta test or an alpha test online that we're used to, but still cool that they're bringing it on location, man. Giving us the opportunity to play is never a bad thing. I just hope it's coming to the tournaments I'm going to. You feel me? I want to go play some Tekken 8. I think that was it. Oh, never mind. There was this other thing that happened. It was this. Oh. Hey, look, it's like the old one, but they have new clothing.
Your luck is run out.
Get ready for the next battle.
Oh, whoa.
Tekken 8. New challenger.
Going somewhere?
Nina Williams.
Now, we're going to talk about the announcer in just a second, because it's way more badass than thought of. But there's the big thing. She's got some guns that she shoots you with. We saw also...
Isn't it past your bedtime?
It looks like Tekken 8 doesn't have corkscrews anymore. It looks like, from what I gathered, it's a bound system, much like Tekken 6. Like that. Right, and we do have pop-ups and everything, but there's no longer corkscrews. So I wonder how that will change the landscape of the game. There's the heat rush, right? It's basically a dash cancel that gives you extra properties once you get it, once you hit. Also later, Reagan, we're gonna talk about that announcer in just a second.
Die in silence.
And then she just kills you.
Goodbye.
So there's actual murder in
That
Tekken.
was disappointing.
And she's basically like James Bond now. It's awesome, right? It feels like they're turning up like the personalities to 11. It's pretty exciting. I'm a fan. That's a badass trailer. Now, guns that's cheating? Well, it's like Tekken 7, you can customize and give yourself guns. Nina just brought them to start with, you know? But while we were watching this live, I kind of regret not picking up on this. The announcer at the beginning is Lynn Hart. She's the announcer for Pride. Like, she's the old school, like, Pride announcer who's, like, badass to the max. I'm a huge fan of hers. And I didn't even put the 2 and 2 together that was her. So that was super duper exciting. I was watching it on Monday morning, and I was like, holy shit, why didn't I pick up on that? With that said, that is not going to be the Tekken announcer. Right? She is just providing exciting intros to the character reveals. But according to her on Twitter, she is not like the main Tekken announcer. With that said, I want to propose this to you guys to see if you guys would like this, because I've been tossing this idea around in my head quite a bit. I want to commission her to do an intro for our show. Like, could you imagine her introing me every week like that? like they used to do in the old Pride days. I found her website so I can commission her. The commissions are a little expensive, but I think I can roll. I think I can do it. It's like $250 for an intro, which, like, for somebody who has a ridiculously legendary voice like hers, is almost not expensive. But I've been tossing that around in my brain for a little bit, so I might wind up do it. I'm gonna have to cut back on the pizzas. Yeah, that is true. I get paid tomorrow, so maybe I'll just throw it and pretend like it's a bill I had to pay or something. All right, here's the button. Lord Die by Sword. I hope all the stuff that I fixed is not gonna. I'm not doing this on purpose. It's supposed to be an L, but it thinks this is an L. Why does it think this is an L? I don't know if like the stuff that I messed with is going to stop this from working or not, but you know, we won't know until we try, right? So, without further ado, Die by Sword, thank you for redeeming the press the button. Here it is.
Wow. What do you think about this mirror match, Chris Matrix?
Well, it's not a complete mirror match. I mean, but just Morgan Missile.
Thanks for everything, bro.
I guess whoever says uncle first.
Whoever says uncle first?
Yeah.
Whoever says Mate first, right?
Mate.
Oh, say it! Say it! Say it! Say it! Mate!
That was against what's his name? Which one was that? Kickboxer or Bloodsport? Which one was that? Bolo or the ponytail? That was Bolo. That was Bolo. Yeah, the big Asian. The one I be like the.
He said, he said, you break my record, I break you. Just like I break your friends.
Anyway, that's the button. Have we seen this clip? Probably. Full disclosure, I have a gigantic playlist. What I do is I press the shuffle button like about 8 times, and that's the clip we see. So, that's the clip we see. If you want to see another clip, you could always, use your channel points and redeem for us to press the button some more. But it's hilarious that they were talking about Bloodsport, because I think I'm gonna watch Bloodsport this coming weekend between other stuff during the weekend as well. But anyway, what were we talking about? Nina Williams. She looks dope. The game looks dope. I think all of the stuff that they announced, we won't necessarily understand it until we get our hands on it. There's a lot of people that are very apprehensive about the fact that Tekken is adding so many mechanics like this, right? One thing I feel like I do need to address, and this is something that Michael Murray has addressed, and this is something that Harada has addressed, this is something that a lot of other people have addressed, is a lot of people are bitching about not having sidesteps in the game, right? Tekken looks like a 2D game. There's no sidesteps. They showed it in the trailer. People just like willingly missed it. In the trailer, in the Nina Williams trailer, she sidesteps like 2 different things. And it's not even a sidestep. It's like a micro sidestep, which is even crazier, right? So, sidesteps still exist. Tekken is still a 3D game. They specifically talked about how it would be a lot easier if Tekken was a 2D game, because then they wouldn't have to do like a full like arena. They could just do like one background. So I don't know what the hell people are thinking, man. That's the whole like thing about social media coming up again, right? Like it's I hate it. just think with your brains, all right? Not your wieners. Anywho, blame Eris for that rumor. It's not Eris. It's not. I can guarantee you that. I think that's all we had for Tekken 8. So you thought Tekken needed a stage meta like Smash? They do. They have it. You saw a lot of players switching between stages, between matches. Like for example, I specifically remember Super Akuma and Jod's match where they started at, I forget what stage they played first, but they then went to Geese's stage, right, with all the wall breaks. Super Akuma won, so Jod then took it to another stage that had smaller walls, and then they played it out. So yeah, there's a lot of like some characters do better with an infinite stage, some characters don't. So there is a little bit of that in Tekken 7. Will there be some of that in Tekken 8? Most likely. We'll see.